Hey scholars, time for a read aloud. So this is the read aloud that goes along with Tuesday's lesson. If you have not yet done Monday's lesson, where I would like you to write your own story involving a prince, a princess, and a dragon, please go ahead and do that now. That's in Monday's work. So let's get started on reading this book called The Paper Bag Princess. Story by Robert Munsch, art by Michael Marchenko. As you can see here, we got a dragon, we got a person. I want you to think, who might this person be? What might be happening here, right? Let's go ahead and get started on this story. The Paper Bag Princess. Elizabeth was a beautiful princess. She lived in a castle and had expensive princess clothes. She was going to marry a prince named Ronald. Unfortunately, a dragon smashed her castle, burned all her clothes with his fiery breath, and carried off Prince Ronald. Oh no, scholars, what do you think is going to happen next? If you were writing the next bit of the story, what would you say? Elizabeth decided to chase the dragon and get Ronald back. She looked everywhere for something to wear, but the only thing she could find to put on that was not burnt was a paper bag. So she put on the paper bag and followed the dragon. He was easy to follow because he left a trail of burnt forest and horses' bones. Finally, Elizabeth came to a cave with a large door that had a huge knocker on it. She took hold of the knocker and banged on the door. The dragon stuck his nose out of the door and said, "Well, a princess. I love to eat princesses, but I have already eaten a whole castle today. I'm very busy, dragon. I'm a very busy dragon. Come back tomorrow." He slammed the door so fast Elizabeth almost got her nose caught. Elizabeth grabbed the knocker and banged on the door again. The dragon stuck his nose out of the door and said, "Go away! I love to eat princesses, but I have already eaten a whole castle today. I'm a very busy dragon. Come back tomorrow." "Wait!" shouted Elizabeth. "Is it true you are the smartest and fiercest dragon in the whole world?" "Yes," said the dragon. "Is it true," said Elizabeth, "that you can burn up 10 forests with your fiery breath?" "Oh, yes," said the dragon, and he took a huge, deep breath and breathed out so much fire that he burned up 50 forests. "Fantastic," said Elizabeth, and the dragon took another huge breath and breathed out so much fire that he burnt up 100 forests. "Magnificent," said Elizabeth, and the dragon took another huge breath. But this time, nothing came out. The dragon didn't even have enough fire left to cook a meatball. Elizabeth said, "Dragon, is it true that you can fly around the world in just 10 seconds?" "Why, yes," said the dragon, and jumped up and flew around the world in just 10 seconds. He was very tired when he got back, but Elizabeth shouted, "Fantastic! Do it again!" So, the dragon jumped up and flew around the whole world in just 20 seconds. When he got back, he was too tired to talk, and he lay down and went straight to sleep. Elizabeth whispered very softly, "Hey, dragon." The dragon didn't move at all. What do you think she was doing there? Think about that. She lifted up the dragon's ear and put her head right inside. She shouted as loud as she could, "Hey, dragon!" The dragon was so tired, he didn't even move. Elizabeth walked right over the dragon and opened the door to the cave. There was Princess Ronald. He looked at her and said, well, actually, before we get to that, what do you think is going to happen next? Maybe Princess rescues the prince, maybe not something we expected. But now that happens. So what happens next? What happens at the end of good stories? At the end of good fairy tales, I should say. All right, let's go. There was Princess Ronald. He looked at her and said, "Elizabeth, you are a mess. You smell like ashes, your hair is all tangled, and you are wearing a dirty old paper bag. Come back when you are dressed like a real princess." I wonder if she's going to go back and dress like a real princess. Ronald, said Elizabeth, your clothes are really pretty and your hair is very neat. You look like a real prince, but you are a bum. They didn't get married after all. The end. So, that was the read aloud for the day, and we're going to be discussing it in class. But if you were unable to read it with us, what I want you to think about is what is something about that read aloud that maybe surprised you. I apologize for this somehow popping up, not what I intended. But what is something about that story that surprised you that maybe you did not see coming? All right, bye, scholars.